Hey, what the deuce, gamers? This is the Stewie Griffin Gaming Show. I'm joined here by my co-host Brian, the dog, and we are playing some Sonic Heroes.
I voted for Rand Paul.
What the deuce? Anyways, we're starting off with Rogue the Bat.
It's Rouge the Bat.
Rogue the... Wow. Is she always this busty?
Yeah.
Wow. This is already our best episode yet. So yeah, we beat the Sonic story last time. It seemed hellish. And now we are plunging right ahead to the Dark Team, which you described as hard mode.
Yeah.
What makes it harder?
Just the levels are harder.
You have to fight 80 robots instead of 40 robots. Okay. Why was Shadow in a tank again?
Okay, because this follows directly from the end of Sonic Adventure 2, where he falls to Earth.
After you do the crazy space race battle thing
Yeah.
between Shadow and Sonic.
Yeah. Well, after the final story where you defeat the Bio Lizard.
Oh, okay, yeah. I remember the Bio-Lizard, sort of. So then he's like on the verge of death or something, and they put him in the cryogenic restore chamber or whatever.
Something like that.
Something like that. You're supposed to know. If you don't know, then who knows? Wait, what are they trying to do? What's their motive?
Catch Eggman.
Oh. Why?
Because they want to.
Alright. Works for me. So, the robot is like Knuckles,
Yeah.
and Rouge is like Tails.
Yeah.
And then Shadow is like Sonic. He's the Faker Hedgehog. I gotta say, I miss Tails already. Nobody has the same charm yet. I thought of a topic for this video. Last time I talked about Pokemon cards at length. Maybe now we should breach into the other card game I'm interested in.
Magic the Gathering.
Magic the Gathering, get some Magic takes. They just finished spoiling the Final Fantasy set today. You're a big fan of Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Played Final Fantasy 14, or you
Yeah.
did for a while. I've been showing you mostly previews of cards from Final Fantasy 14, so you can tell me who they are and what the hell's going on. I don't know. There's like parts of it I like, I guess. But the whole thing, the usage of external IPs and Magic, the Universes Beyond paradigm, it really pisses me off. I think it's like very embarrassing and lame. And up until now, they hadn't really done any franchises I liked. And, you know, I'm not into Doctor Who. I don't care about Fallout. I don't really care about Warhammer. What else have they done? Lord of the Rings, you know. I like it fine, but I'm not like a big fan or anything. Like, I like the movies. Movies are really good. But this is the first time where it's like a franchise that I actually really deeply love and care about. You know, like 6, 7, and 9 are like probably among my top 20 games ever. I love 10, 12. I've played most of them, I guess. So a lot of people are always like, oh, everybody hates Universes Beyond until they get to the franchise they like, and then Then their tune changes. But I don't know, it still bugs me. It still just feels like it's so lame. Why do we have to have everything be everything? Why does everything have to be this endless Fortnite-ified crossover? Can't we just have original things anymore?
Well, their original ideas also suck because it's just been like, what if it was a western? What if it was a ghost town? What if it was a murder mystery?
Well, my theory is that they saw the amazing, mind-blowing success of the Lord of the Rings set and the Fallout Commander decks and all this stuff, and their biggest takeaway from it was people like when they recognize things. And so they made it so that in the main sets, Magic has always operated in a space of, like, doing their own spin on various mythologies or ancient cultures or fantasy tropes or horror or whatever. I think they're like, oh, that's what people like. They like that it's kind of like a reference to a thing they already know. So let's make way more references and make them, like, way more obvious. Because clearly the success of Universes Beyond shows that people like when they recognize something. And I don't even think they're wrong. I think they completely nailed it. People love when they recognize something. They point and clap when Boba Fett shows up. They just want endless fan service and for things they remember from something else to show up in something else. And it pisses me off. I think it's such lowest common denominator gunk that is so devoid of, like, any genuine, like, emotion or creativity of itself. You're essentially just kind of, like, going, I don't really need to capture, like, the poignancy of the original or anything like that. I just have to nod to it. I just have to make it so that people get what I'm going for. And they go, hey, I remember that. And that's, like, the entirety of it. I think it's a plague upon, like, all media these days, and it sucks that Magic seems to have, like, totally succumbed to this. Just like the Final Fantasy cards. I don't think they can do any better than that. I think they, like, achieved their mission perfectly. They had all of the popular characters and scenes and monsters and moments represented. They did a good job. Whoa. I'm surprised the game didn't just, like, flat out kill you there. They did a good job, like, marrying it thematically with the mechanics and stuff. The art seems good. They got a wide variety of artists. They even got, like, OG Final Fantasy artists to work on it. But at the end of the day, it's just, it feels like so, I just kind of want to, like, roll my eyes so often. I went on a big rant to Gleb. If you don't propose another topic soon, I'll just recreate it here. Essentially, it's like, on this pursuit of making things recognizable, it feels like there's a big flattening of the original characters into, like, the card form. That's one thing that bugs me, is, like, to have a card of a Magic the Gathering character. Sure, there's, like, books and auxiliary lore and everything, but all of those characters were designed from the ground up to be cards. They're designed to be characters in a trading card game. So if you have a couple cards representing them, Chandra and then Chandra's Phoenix or whatever, you're kind of, like, getting the full story, and you're, like, encapsulating this character entirely within that. Whereas, like, to take a character like Vivi, one of the protagonists of FF9, a character that's very beloved by fans, that, is like a very kind of, like, poignant, resonant piece of the story, where it's having all these existential struggles and has this very charming innocence to him, and yet this, like, strange kind of, like, origin and creation, and it's a very complex, like, moving plot that transpires over this, like, 50-hour game. and then you literally flatten him down to like one card, where it's like Vivi, Adept Spellcaster, create either blue or red mana for his power each turn. Put a +1/+1 counter on him every time you cast a spell. And it's just like, oh, that's it. That's like, or like the ones that have like a quote from the character as the flavor text. It's just like, man, out of context, these sound like really cheesy lines. Even in context, they might kind of be cheesy lines, but it's like, you're in that experience, like you're playing the game. It's this cumulative thing where you've like grown with the character. You've been the character for hours and hours. This feels like it cheapens the whole thing. And then conversely, it's like they also take things that in the game were just kind of like cute little moments that maybe became like memes, and now they have to make like a whole card out of it. And it just sort of feels like when a corporation tries to get in on a meme, it has the same sort of energy to me, where it's like, hey, you know, in FF6 you can suplex the train. It coded the train enemy wrong, so it's weak to the suplex attack. It's the only big enemy you can suplex like that. Doesn't that look funny? You're suplexing a ghost train. That's just like a little in-joke among people that have played it. And then it became kind of like an internet meme, I guess. And it's like, oh, okay, well, of course, we've got to have a card depicting that. We have to call that out as part of our product. And then that ends up being like the most highly commented on, highly upvoted one on Reddit. And all of the comments are just like, oh shit, I get this. Oh my god, they went there. Yo, do you know what this is a reference to? In the game, you can do this. Yeah, no, this is canon. This is actually canon. You can actually suplex a train. That's why they made the car. It's crazy. How did they know? It's like just endless kind of like circle jerking around this like, we put a meme into the game, guys. It's a piss off. There's a bunch of examples I can think of that. I also don't like, it feels like in the process of creating this, they turned it not just from a Final Fantasy set into like a generic kind of like RPG set. And so there's a card called First Town, okay? And I think actually depicted on the card is the town you go to at the start of Final Fantasy 1, where you are called up to be adventurers and go as the 4 warriors of light to deal with this emerging crisis. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that game has a starting town. They don't call it starting town in the game, obviously. Nobody in the world of the game would call it starting town. That makes no sense. But the idea of a starting town is like an RPG trope now, right? Moreover, it's like an isekai trope, I think, is where it really has kind of cemented into the consciousness. But it's like, what other Final Fantasy games have a starting town? I think, like, none of them? They always start with, like, crazy action set pieces. You're usually kind of doing a major adventure before you get to anything that has, like, the aesthetics of this starting town, where it's like, oh, this young, peaceful place where heroes emerge. That's like a Dragon Quest thing. Like, that's a lot of other RPGs, but that's not really Final Fantasy, so, like, why is it in there? Oh, they have a card called Town Greeter. And the art and flavor text is, like, riffing off the idea that when you go into towns in Final Fantasy, there's an NPC standing around the entrance that says, like, oh, this is Lindbergh. Oh, this is Alexandria. Whatever. That's not a town greeter. That's not somebody that was hired by the city to stand there and tell you that. The idea in, like, the Ludo narrative is that you're just talking to some random person and being like, hey, I just got here. What's up with this place? And it's like this sort of, like, weird, like, oh, well, you know, in every town there is one, haha. like trying to kind of like expose. I like how he did that spin there. Gameplay mechanics that are just for the quality of life of the player, for like the smoothness of the experience, and maybe kind of like seem a little disjoint with realism. Then like spotlighting that, lampshading it on a card, and being like, oh hee hee. This is kind of a piss off, man.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Yep.
Why should anyone care? Why does it matter?
I don't know. Wait, what do you mean? Like, who? Like the people watching this video?
Sure.
Well, they clicked on it for some reason. Or like people who are buying it. People are gonna buy the hell of it. It's already the best-selling Magic set of all time, and it's not even out. It outsold Modern Horizons 2 and Lord of the Rings just in pre-sales. Isn't that crazy? But I don't like it. He like interrupted himself saying Annihilation to say Annihilation again. Is he saying Annihilatron?
Annihilation and then Charge.
That goes kind of hard. Another one I don't like is like putting gameplay mechanics as cards. There's a card called like Sphere Grid. There's a card called Battle Menu. And it's like, those aren't things that exist in the universe. Cloud does not know that he has a battle menu. Titus does not know that he has a sphere grid. Those are things that the player uses. It's like having a card called, like, Start Button. Like, I feel like in the pursuit of just going down the list of things that people associate with Final Fantasy, they've A, gotten some stuff that's like not actually to do with Final Fantasy, but is just spillover from RPGs in general, and B, gotten things that like break the fourth wall of the idea that you are witnessing scenes in an actual place, you know? Like, it's not like they've taken the world of Final Fantasy, disjoint as it is across all these different games, and come up with like this kind of gallery of scenes and characters and stuff. They've like created this bizarre simulacra of like Final Fantasy memes, you know? Like the energy is less what if Final Fantasy was a setting for Magic the Gathering, and more like 9-gag Final Fantasy board, you know? And it's just like, and it's like, it could be worse. Like, it feels like it could have been even more, like, slop. Oh shit, the moonwalk.
Okay, let's just not die.
It's still early in the game. You've been crushing it so far. What else do I have to complain about? Oh! So, they're also doing a set of cards that are like, they're Magic reprints, often of fairly valuable or heavily played cards. It's another way that, you know, this set is just kind of pure fan service. It's like, here's a bunch of new Final Fantasy cards and a whole bunch of cards you want with Final Fantasy skins. So there's every reason plus one for people to want to buy these packs. And I'm not saying like, oh, that's greedy of them or whatever, but it's like the laziness on these like guest reprint things in terms of the reskinning and stuff. It makes no earthly sense to me. They have the beautiful scene of Titus and Yuna in the ocean embracing, you know? Everyone knows the one if you played the game. That is a skin of the Magic Commander staple Rhystic Study. Rhystic Study says, whenever a player plays a spell, or whatever an opponent plays a spell, they may pay an additional 1 mana, and if they don't, you, the controller of Rhystic Study, draw a card. And the theming has always been, you know, like academics, and the feeling of playing against it is like annoyance. It's a very strong card, and it creates this like weird political game state where everybody has to agree not to let the Rhystic Study player draw cards. It has all this aura, all this reputation. I think it's like as far away as I can possibly think of, like emotionally, from two characters embracing. It's like such a baffling mismatch. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. They also have like various ones for the FF14 expansions, where the title is just the name of the expansion, like Lightbringers or Endwalker or whatever.
Lightbringers, like Linkara?
Yeah, the Linkara expansion. What is it called? Shadowbringers?
Yeah, Shadowbringers, yeah.
And it's just like art they've reused, I think, of kind of all the major characters posed up together. And it's great art. It's nice art. But then it's like that, and it's like Brainstorm. And I'm like, who's brainstorming? Like, all these guys are brainstorming? Like, what does this mean? Like, it's just because Brainstorm is a super popular card, and this art is, like, hype. Let's just slap it on there. The one that pissed me off the most was what seems to me like an attempt to match the actual thing depicted on the card and the card effect. It's, the card Gilded Lotus from Mirrodin, which is a classic Magic card and a staple. And Gilded Lotus is like, you pay 5 mana, and then it taps for 3 of any color. So it's like Black Lotus, but you don't have to sacrifice it, but instead of 0 mana, it's 5 mana. So it's a lot worse, but it's still very strong. And I think there's like a really very, very clever little story being told with that, where Mirrodin is a plane of pure artificiality. Everything is made out of metal. All of the animals, all of the peoples, everything, except for some aliens that were brought in from other planes, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, so it's like, the Gilded Lotus, it's like a gilded lily, you know, like the English expression, gilding the lily, where they took this beautiful, pure piece of nature, and in order to try to replicate its beauty, you know, they made it permanent instead of, like, ephemeral, but it's a lot weaker because now it's expensive. And it's just this nice little, like, kind of poetic metaphor, you know, reading the two cards in context of one another. Black Lotus, of course, like, the most iconic Magic card of all time, so it's also paying tribute to that. All this stuff. And then they chose to make the Gilded Lily Final Fantasy reskin, the lily growing in the garden in the church where Ares hangs out. Like the flowers that she was selling at the start of the game, where she tries to get Cloud to buy a flower. And I'm like, isn't the whole point of that it's like not gilded? That Ares represents nature and the original species of the planet, and the whole game is about how technology is like corrupting that and destroying that and polluting that, and Ares fucking dies, like she is not an immortal artificial flower, but instead something ephemeral and fleeting, and that it's all about protecting the planet. Why is it Gilded Lily? Like, what? I think it's the exact opposite of what that scene in the game means. And they just chose it because it's like, oh, pretty flower. It's a flower, so it'll get Gilded Lily. It's just like, what? Like, do you guys care about the games or not? Like, it seems like there's been a lot of love put into it. But at the same time, I think if you went, ChatGPT, give me the 200 things people associate most with Final Fantasy, and then look at the Final Fantasy wiki for each of them and go, okay, let's figure out how to make this into a card. That's also gonna get you to this exact same set. Like, there seems to be just like only like a surface level approximation of like all of these games and moments and characters that I think is just inherent to shoving them into a completely different game system and reducing them all down to just playing cards. What else do I got? The boosters are too expensive, too. They drove up the price for this. They'd already driven up the price for Universes Beyond sets. And then they did it again because they knew that this would have such insane, insatiable demand. But it's also going to probably end up being like a Pokemon situation where the demand for this is so high that packs might start having positive EV. And you might start getting people just buying all of the MSRP stuff to scalp. So the actual functional price of it might be like off the charts. Which is just... That was... You, like, instinct died. It's disappointing to see, because Magic has never had that problem. Like, no matter how popular the game has gotten, it's never really been like a hype thing, you know? Where people are buying it to scalp. The closest was Lord of the Rings, and that was because people were chasing the fucking...
One ring.
One ring, yeah, which was one of the dirtiest marketing tricks Wizards has ever pulled. I don't know how they're getting away with stuff like serialized cards. Like, it's just... like, whale hunting taken to an unconscionable extreme. PETA should be on their asses with the amount of whales that Wizards has got in their eyesights. But yeah, it's never been like Pokemon where people are trying to resell sealed product for like way, way more. But I don't know. It could happen here. And I'm sure Wizards would see that as like a massive positive. Because it means they can just print as much of it as they want and it's going to sell out instantly. What more could they possibly ask for? It's kind of interesting though, because I feel like this is as bad as it could possibly get. Which maybe I'll regret saying. But I can't think of any other franchises that are going to get this much hype, you know? Like, I think the demographic overlap is just so strong. Not just between existing Magic players and Final Fantasy players, but like Final Fantasy fans and people who have friends that play Magic and stuff like that. Like, I can just imagine in my head the number of like FF14 players in their statics going, oh shit, we're definitely gonna draft the hell out of the Final Fantasy set when it comes out, right? Like, it's pandering to like an already gaming player base in a way that I think if they tried to sell like Star Wars cards or something, sure, they're gonna be like crazy popular and there's more Star Wars fans than Final Fantasy fans, but I don't know if there's more Star Wars fans who are like gamers than there are Final Fantasy fans who are, you know, by definition almost all gamers. So I don't know, I feel like they're gonna have this one bite at the golden apple and then what? The Avatar set's coming out. Final Fantasy or Spider-Man and Marvel is coming out this year. Like, they're gonna keep taking swings at it, but...
They're doing an Avatar set?
Yeah. Avatar The Last Airbender.
Oh.
Not James Cameron Avatar.
Okay, I'm less interested.
Not yet. PyCon card? Bro, my PyCon Commander Whale Tribal deck, it goes crazy. Yeah, and those are the only franchises they've announced. It's like very, very hard to imagine like other major gaming franchises. I don't know, like a lot of people have been saying, oh, I want like a FromSoft set. I want an Elden Ring set, or like just the Souls games in general, whatever. I'm sure that would do really well, but like there's no way that that's as big as Final Fantasy. Like, Final Fantasy is both just a very long-running game series where it feels like you're kind of expected to have played at least one, and, like, one of the most successful MMOs running right now. And it's not like they can do a Warcraft set. That would never happen, because there's Hearthstone. Although I would have said they'd never do a Marvel set, because there was Marvel Snap, and then they did, so... Who knows? Who knows?
Well, I think it's different when it's a game that's purely in the digital space.
Well, Hearthstone's purely in the digital space, too.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, you're right. Yeah. It could happen. That would go pretty crazy, I think. Like a Warcraft set? That's another one with, like, a very dedicated, very large fan base. I want to see the RuneScape set, now that I think of it. That's the one where I might actually get interested.
The RuneScape set.
Wouldn't that go crazy? Actually, now that I'm really ideating and I've activated my autism strong enough that the gameplay loop visualization engine is online. A RuneScape card game. Not just reskinning Magic, because that's lazy, but actually building a card game that replicates the mechanics of RuneScape. That could go crazy. That could be like the most fun game of all time. Bro, imagine your opponent plays Zulrah, and then you blow up Zulrah, and then they're like, oh, okay, draw a card from the Zulrah loot deck. Boom. You hear that? Loot deck? Oh my god. The drop table is a drop deck? I might be the smartest person alive. And anyone who's still watching this video, after I, like, very autistically ranted about the Final Fantasy cards, a widely beloved product, for like half an hour, I'm giving you billions of dollars right now in idea gold.
Makes me sick how much game you give up.
I know, man! It's for free! It's for free! You don't even have to subscribe! Did you like how the boxes spawned in while you were, like, looking at them?
That's just, you know.
How about this? Sonic set.
Okay.
They got enough characters.
Yeah, 100% they have enough characters.
They got, like, equipment? I don't know. There's enemies and stuff. The enemies are good creatures.
We could definitely do it.
I think you can do it.
There's enough strange artifacts from
It's like,
yesteryear.
it feels like almost every creature would have haste. Like,
The
thematically.
haste set.
They just have to, or it wouldn't be, like, nonsensical if they didn't. Yeah. I don't know. I just complained about it for a long time, but, like, I'm just mad at it, like, ideologically. There's various cards, though, when I saw it, I was like, ooh, that makes me happy.
Ooh,
So,
my Chungus.
I'm not really capable of taking any, like, moral superiority position. I think if they tweaked it by, like, 20%, I might be buying packs. But probably if they tweaked it by 20%, it would be 20% less popular. And then I would be able to buy packs. So it'd all work out. Oh man, that looks jank as hell. Maybe I've been eating too many Nerds gummies, but that was a little nauseating. Watching him run around the ball like that. I'm gonna be real, I cannot tell any differences between now and when you played this as Team Sonic. This seems like the exact same level.
It's different.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I guess I can go back and review the video archive. Was that Rouge?
Yeah.
Is that what she sounds like?
Yeah.
I thought she sounded more like sultry. Like,
She's got shit to do.
Okay, I don't know, man. Yeah, there, yeah. That sounded more like her. Uh-oh, it's flashing red.
This section is longer than it is in the Sonic story.
Oh, that's great. Sure, that's oodles of fun. Yeah! Alright. You want to eat some of this cake thing?
Oh, we gotta do a boss fight first.
Okay, let's do the boss fight and have a little cake. Let me review my notes here.
Look, it's the Chaotix.
Oh shit. He's edgy too?
Yeah.
I thought he might be a goofy goober.
No, he's the straight man.
Oh, yeah, I suppose you gotta have a straight man. Let's look at this. Why is this wrist steady? What the... Why? Why?
Man, nothing is better than killing Charmy the Bee.
No. Who will make our honey? Okay, I talked about the Gilded Lily thing. Starting town, yeah, I talked about this thing. Sphere grid, yup. Town greeter, yeah. Oh, Adventurers Inn, I have the same beef with. You're not adventurers in these games. You're like a combination of like terrorists or kidnappers or police or like the athletes. It's like a generic RPG thing that they've lumped in with this. It's not settings where there's parties of adventurers that stay at inns. It's people go to these towns for like business. That's a good line. It just like destroys just the guns down like a minority family. Yeah, and then I started talking about Pitchfork. That was positive. Pitchfork gave an album a 1 a bit ago.
Oh.
Or no, sorry, a 2.3.
Was it Donald Glover?
No, it was a band called Sleep Token.
Oh yeah, the metal band.
Yeah. And the review basically amounts to, this isn't real metal, this is cringe.
What a great review. I'm so glad we have Pitchfork. This isn't real metal, bro.
Is it real metal?
I don't know, I don't listen to it.
No.